Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Jesse talks all things TDCJ and military. I'm your host, Jesse. Today, I'm going to talk about a couple of different things, and they all tie into staffing shortage at TDCJ. But also, let's face it, folks, there's a staffing shortage pretty much anywhere and everywhere you go to try to work. Hydrate. A couple of weeks ago, on Friday, I won't say exactly when, there was a shooting in my neighborhood. And the best thing about this shooting was that it was just a couple of houses down the road from where I was sitting. It was about 3:30 in the afternoon on Friday, broad daylight. I'm sitting in the house, chilling, playing some Xbox, drinking a beer, and I hear gunshots ring out with what sounded like it was right across the street from me. I know what it sounds like. There's a lot of construction that goes on in the neighborhood, new houses being built, nail guns. This wasn't a nail gun. All right. So I get the pistol that I have downstairs, go to the door, take a little bit of cover, and I start scanning up and down the streets. Didn't see anything. Stone quiet. Get down low, crack the door, and I looked across the street and I saw my neighbor's teenage son sitting in his car. And he was hunkered down real low. I hollered out to him, "I think they're gone." If he heard me, he didn't register. He dropped to the street on his butt, did a crab walk where you put your hands in your feet and you lift your ass up and you're walking like a crab. Did the fastest crab walk that I had ever seen up toward the house. Got halfway there and I guess he realized what he was doing, stood up, ran inside the house, slammed and locked the door. In the meantime, I'm just scanning up and down the street. Wife gets up, what the hell's going on? I get back in the house, yada yada. Long story into it, my road runs like this. The next one, Lord, this is horrible. The next one that runs T to it, I guess you could say. Car pulled up, emptied a whole magazine of .45 ammunition at this kid sitting in his car and drove away. They ended up hitting his car. They hit my neighbor's car, who's in the Navy, and they hit the neighbor's car the next house over to me. He's a police officer. I won't say where or what his name is. They hit his car as well. Neighbor across the street, they hit the back of his trunk. The shot wedged into the back seat. Neighbor across the street hit the driver's side passenger window, the back passenger window, and it lodged in the back of his seat as well. Found out all this way later on. Didn't know any of this at the time. You're saying, what the hell is this story about, Jesse? I'm getting to it. Police came. They're patrolling the neighborhood, walking up and down, questioning the neighbors who would talk to them. Shots aren't uncommon in this neighborhood that I live in. Down the road from there, there's a well-known drug house. There's shootings there almost weekly. Lucky they're all bad shots. This one just hit really close to home, pun intended. So I got interviewed by the police, told them what little bit that I did know about it. Meantime, my neighbor who was on duty, we called him, talked to him. He came home. He's checking around everything. I'm outside talking to him, and the shift supervisor, who was a sergeant, he comes over. These two knew each other in the academy. They shook hands, hugged. He introduces me, shake hands with the sergeant. Now it's a little bit more personable. It's not just, Joe Civilian with a cop out there. And we talked. And I told him what goes on in the neighborhood, yada yada. Told him about, neighbor, he's Navy. They're pretty short-handed right now. So I'm in the Coast Guard. I work down at the training center down in Yorktown. We're barely running half of our shift right now. I guess maybe you guys are short-handed. Sarge was looking down the road, looks at me, takes his sunglasses off, said, "Brother, I ain't even running half a shift right now, and this is almost all of it. I won't say how many officers there were out there, but it was bad. And I could do the math, I could do the numbers." And I said, "Man, I tell you, I didn't realize the police department would get like that. I used to work corrections before I was in the Coast Guard, and man, we were always short-handed. And I remember when I got out of the Marines, 2003, it was after 9/11, we were still riding that defeat terrorist wave. I went and tested out for the Beaumont Police Department. They would test for 3 days straight, anywhere from 100 to 120 applicants. Started off with a little rinky ass application, then you'd run the PT test, and it'd go from there. I said, man, there'd be 100, 120 times 3, and they never said how many openings there were, but there might have been 6. He said, yep, I hired on right around the same time you were testing, and it's the same thing. There'd be 100, 150 people show up. They'd all get weeded out, and they'd hire maybe 8, 10 of us. Some would already have peace officer certification from an academy. Others, they'd get sponsored. They go in through the academy. He was one of the ones who got sponsored and went in through the academy. He said, we tested just a couple of months ago. 20 people showed up. Every single one of them had some kind of a disqualifier, even after all the waivers for the disqualifiers had been put in place. Basically, the people that showed up, even with disqualifiers being waived, none of these people could test. I said, not test, none of those people could hire on. I said, 20? Fuck, how many had? Don't tell me how many openings you had. I said, it was probably that many. He said, they wouldn't have even filled it. I said, man. It got me thinking. A guy tried to recruit me. Said, "Are you planning on staying in Virginia after you retire?" I was like, nope. Got my little slice of spice back home in Texas. Going back to that. Gonna see what's what from there. I'm gonna adjust this real quick. Sorry, guys. It's sitting on a box here, and it likes to slide around. Sorry about that. I'm not the most photogenic individual, but y'all are here for the stories, not what I look like. So anyway, I got to thinking, man, TDC shorthanded. I think pretty much everywhere is at this point. It reminded me of the conversation I had with a fellow brother officer about working for the, the mobile transport team there at TDC, and the time that he spent at Stiles and how short-handed it was. When I was trying to hire on with the police department in 2003, man, there were so many people trying to ride that wave, trying to hire on with it. They're turning them away in droves. I ended up not pursuing that career path, and I am where I am right now. But when I did finally hire on with TDC, when I went through my academy, the first crop of us, I want to say there were about 80 of us. I'm trying to think. 1, 2, 3. I think there were about, I don't remember exactly. I think there were 5 or 6 of us specifically designated to go to the Stiles. I don't know who's still left there. But none of us became friends. Once we all got off OJT, we went to our different shifts, and none of us really kept contact or track with each other. We see each other on the walkways, on the tiers. I was the only one that ended up day shift SIG. And I don't know who else is left there. Where I'm going with that story, TDC was shorthanded then. And this was in 2013. Now, from what my man was telling me, place being staffed by nothing but the Nigerians, they run through as many of the qualified applicants as they can. Let's take it. There's only so many people in the Texas area that you can hire. Stiles laid ground in 1993, so it's been there for, 30 years now? Everybody who could apply that would have been qualified for the job, they've probably gone through as many of those people as you can. A lot of them are retirees that hire on again. A lot of them quit, go for another job, doesn't work out, end up coming back to the area. They're to the point they're even hiring freaking offenders right now that were assigned there to work as the bosses. And from what the guy was telling me, half of a shift, that's good numbers. They're happy, not happy, but they're glad to have that many people to come walk the area. And I got to thinking, man, why is everything so short-handed right now? 2 years ago, I got to the training center in 2020. That was 3 years ago. That's not the point of the story. 2 years ago, I switched over to the specialty school, C school, as we call it. I think there were around maybe 15 or 16 of us instructors, all first classes and second classes. I was a second class at the time. I made bosun mate first class last June. As of this Friday, 3 of our members departed. They're going to different units. There are 5 C school instructors, 5 primary. I need 12 to run a class. We're pulling and plugging patches with miscellaneous individuals from here and there just to keep classes running right now. And we're not supposed to get any kind of new reports until August, maybe even mid-August. And the classes aren't slowing down right now. I got to thinking, man, if things are this bad at the schoolhouse, where it's pretty chill, it's not operations, you're not getting shot at, unless you live at my house, then you can hear shots on a weekly basis. Get kind of used to it. Luckily, none of them had apparently had any kind of training. I got to thinking, if it's that bad, how bad is it in the other places? Police departments used to be one of the last kind of agencies to hurt for anybody. People were just shotgunning applications. There'd be maybe 4 openings. Now, here in that major metro city like Hampton, Virginia, which borders Newport News, Yorktown, below us we got Norfolk. Norfolk has shootings every day on the news. There's something going on down in Norfolk. Anyway, if these cities are struggling to keep officers staffed, it's bad. And I don't know how the officers that are working at TDC right now, I don't know how they're able to do it. They come in and you see you got no backup. They call out on the radio, nobody's going to respond to it. But when they see the lack of backup that they have and the reactions from the inmates know this shit. New boots, inmate will do anything that he or she can to get your ass fired and get you locked up in there right beside him. And he won't even give you a soup once you end up next to him. They'll do anything that they can. And then they're going to bitch and complain when it takes an extra couple hours for them to get their food tray because they ain't got nobody there to serve it to them. Or they're going to bitch and gripe because they're getting them sack lunch Johnnies, boiled eggs in the mornings, a couple of PB&Js, maybe some pink mystery sweat meat sandwich for dinner. They're going to bitch and gripe about that. But they were the ones that got the bosses ran off, so they can't serve that hot chow. So, whatever, dude. Enjoy your sandwich. I don't know what it's going to take to change to get the place fully staffed again. I don't think it ever will. COVID took a real big hit, took a lot of people out. We're no longer in the pandemic anymore. If any of you still go with that, okay, but we're out of that. So, man, TDCJ recruitment is like out the window right now. It's everywhere. You look it up on Facebook, you look it up on their website. Man, they're throwing bonuses out at people, hiring guys on the spots. I showed you guys in a previous video how easy it is to fill out an application. I think at this point, all you would really need to do is show up to the academy on starting day, and they probably put somebody right into the next class. I think all they would need is some kind of an ID. And apparently, you don't even need to be a damn American citizen. You can just show up, and boom, they'll put you at a unit and go from there. I think I've rambled on enough for you guys. I really don't have a point to all this other than I wanted to let you guys know I've heard about how short it is. I believed it, but it really didn't sink in until I had conversation with this police sergeant about how critically staffed they are right now. The military as a whole. I think I saw a thing on the news earlier this week. The Army and the Navy are at least 6,000 individuals short of their recruiting goals. Marine Corps and Air Force, not too far behind it. Coast Guard never gets talked about because a lot of people don't even realize that we are a branch of the military. Just because we're not DOD doesn't mean we're not military. So, Guys, I hope y'all had a good weekend. Hope you're able to do like me, enjoy your Monday here at home with the family, taking it easy. If you're not, man, keep soldiering on. Do what you got to do. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Everyone take care. Stay safe. Carter's out. Oh, and hydrate.